you were talking about how you got the scholarship and a bunch of programs going on. How do you get the funding for all the operations that you do?
Okay. It's a wonderful question, and it's again a very Sister Island kind of thing. It comes from a lot of different sources. One of the main sources of our funding for projects is by the sale of coffee. We buy 15,000 pounds of coffee every year from Ometepe. Fair-traded, shade-grown coffee that we import to Bainbridge Island. And one of the things that happens on Bainbridge Island is that there's a roastery, Pegasus Coffee. They roast coffee. They roast coffee from all over the world, but they also roast our coffee. And we sell it in the grocery store. And all of the labor it takes to bag the coffee and to deliver it to the stores and to all of that work is all done by volunteers. So we get a fair amount of profit because everybody's volunteering. So that money, about $40,000 a year, comes from that. The scholarship program costs, for each one of the students, it costs about $1,000 a year to send that student to college. Individuals, groups of people have taken on the responsibility of adopting a student. So that program takes in $50,000, $60,000 a year just to run that program. And it comes from individuals or from groups that are supporting a student. High School Spanish Club, for example, supports a student. Then we have things like this auction. You know, that's $14,000 that just came in because a group of young people decided they wanted to do it. So that's where we get the money. Yeah. We just had a library delegation come back from Ometepe. And these were 6 librarians from Bainbridge Island. Public school librarians, library consultants that travel all over the United States to help people develop libraries. And they were on Ometepe to help the Ometepe librarians develop their libraries because we have helped libraries over the years on Ometepe with funding. We have a program. For example, every single year, every single school on Ometepe, and there are 39, can apply for a $250 grant from the Sister Island Association to help increase their number of books that they have in their little libraries. So every single school has that. Out of the 39 schools, 30 schools decided to come to the conference, and we had it in 3 different towns so people wouldn't have to travel so far, and meet with the librarians and talk about libraries. And we also brought 2 very good librarians from Ometepe to help with the presentations. While they were there, making the presentations and delivering the books and learning about the libraries on Ometepe, there was another person who came to Ometepe Island, an American, who wants very much to build libraries. And when our librarians came home, they said, wow, we're really proud of ourselves. I said, what are you so proud of? I'm proud of you too, but what are you so proud of? And they said, well, we're proud because we did it with them, not for them. Bingo. That is what has been happening all the time with this Sister Island, is that we don't do things for these folks on Ometepe. We do things with them. We know them. These are old friends. And these are people we respect a lot. And we don't assume that we know better than they do about what they need, how to do it. Of course, we are fully aware that we have a lot more resources than they do. But not that we have more knowledge or more wisdom. So we always do things together. One of the very important things that Ometepe does for Bainbridge, they obviously don't send us money. But what they do is when we send our 25 young people down there every year to live for 2 weeks, they take them into their family. They take one student into their family. They treat that young person that's your age as a member of their family. They're careful with that person. They show them everything. They really care about them. And as I've told people on Bainbridge many times, that is a gift to Bainbridge Island that is almost incalculable. Because what happens 10 years down the road after that student has had the powerful experience of living in a little hut with a dirt floor and 14 other kids around him and everything for a couple of weeks is so important in getting a worldview that it's just a phenomenal gift. And many, many young people on Bainbridge who go on this experience change their lives. They decide on studying Latin American studies, Spanish in college, rural health care, and they just do a lot of different things that they might not have otherwise done.
What kind of effects did the Cold War have on Nicaragua, and are they still felt today?
Okay. Well, it had a huge effect because all of these countries in Central America for a long, long time have kind of been little players in a field of interest of the United States. The United Fruit Company and powerful interests in the United States using the resources of these little countries with very weak governments, maybe a powerful leader, but was very heavily influenced. Along comes a guy like Ronald Reagan. The Cold War was really scary to the United States because Russia was on one side, we were on the other, we both had nuclear weapons, and both of us were going around finding allies, and every time an ally showed up for Russia that was over in the Western Hemisphere was clearly in our backyard, right? So this was very scary to people who were like Ronald Reagan, paranoid about the Cold War. Everybody wasn't scared, but people like that were. So it really made little difference to a person like that or to that mentality that this country was going to try to have a revolution that was more populist than the dictatorship that they've been living under for 35 years. So, all they could see, all these people who were so paranoid about the Cold War and about the United States and Russia and the balance of power, was, these guys are imitating the bad guys. We better snuff them out. So it had nothing to do with Nicaraguans. It had to do with Russia and the United States and the tug of war between the two. And unfortunately, it's true all over Latin America, it's true all over Africa. There are so many sad stories of countries who are affected by the polarized power struggle between superpowers. And that's what the Cold War was about.
Okay, yeah. What is the political situation there like now?
Okay. Well, right now, in Nicaragua, the political situation is polarized as always in Nicaragua. And that was, everybody has a political opinion in Nicaragua. The Sandinista government is in power. It is in power at the national level, and there's two levels of government in Nicaragua. There's a national level, and then there are municipalities. So there aren't governments there are states in a sense, but departments, but they don't have very much power. It's the mayors that have a lot of power. But a mayor is not a mayor of a town. A mayor, for example, on Ometepe Island, there are two mayors, one in Moyogalpa and one in Altagracia, in the two main towns. And the one that is in Moyogalpa has jurisdiction over about this much of the island. The one in Altagracia has jurisdiction over the rest. But anyway, the mayors are very powerful. Right now, I think the majority of the mayors in Nicaragua are actually Sandinistas, but that goes back and forth. That gives me an opportunity to talk a little bit about the politics and how it affects the sister island. Even though there were people on Bainbridge Island that were very angry when they found out about this sister island connection with this communist country in Nicaragua. I mean, what are we doing here? How can we possibly have a connection with a communist country? Well, most of us in the Sister Island Association were saying, we are not in this association with this island to take a political position. We are about connecting the people on these two islands. That's what it's about. We want the relationship to be long-term, and we want it to be diverse.